So this movie stars the Scarecrow, Mary Poppins, Jason Bourne, Iron Man, and Yelena Romanoff in a Christopher Nolan movie? Sign me up. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is a new World War II drama written and directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Cillian Murphy as the lead, as well as a supporting cast of Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Florence Pugh, and many others. Set during World War II, it follows the life and career of American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy, and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. Christopher Nolan is one of my top 5 favorite directors working today, and whenever he announces a new project, it immediately fills me with anticipation and intrigue. I've always adored his commitment to his craft to delivering spectacle with creative and original ideas. He's bold, creative, daring, inventive, and imaginative. He has made some of my favorite films of all time. I've always loved how he uses practical effects over CGI when given the opportunity, and always shooting on film shows how much he is passionate as an auteur. Although there are 2 films from Christopher Nolan I have not seen yet, that being his directorial debut Following and Insomnia, the latter of which I've heard is one of his underrated films, but everything I've seen from him ranges from A- to A+, and there are 2 films from him I would give an A++ to. But from his fantastic filmography, Memento, one of the most unique films I've ever seen based on its storytelling, Batman Begins, one of the best superhero origin stories ever, The Prestige, an engaging magician rivalry thriller. The Dark Knight is not only my favorite superhero movie of all time, it's my favorite film of all time, with an iconic performance of Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Inception, one of the most creative, original, and jaw-dropping movies I've ever seen. The Dark Knight Rises, which I still absolutely love, a phenomenal, emotional, and thrilling conclusion to his Batman trilogy. Interstellar, which I find to be a great and ambitious sci-fi movie. Dunkirk, a suspenseful war survival film. And Tenet, a visually stunning and ambitious action movie. I was very enthusiastic when Christopher Nolan announced he's doing another World War II movie after Dunkirk, my favorite film of 2017. And Oppenheimer is a different World War II movie compared to Dunkirk. Dunkirk was a survival war movie that was consistent at delivering tension and suspense, while Oppenheimer is a character study on a real-life person, a biopic film. And another particular exciting aspect about Oppenheimer was Cillian Murphy. Now, he's been a frequent collaborator with Christopher Nolan in supporting roles such as Scarecrow in Batman Begins, Inception, and Dunkirk, and even having cameos in The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. And this time, he finally gets to be the lead in a Christopher Nolan movie. And I was very excited to see how Christopher Nolan will fully utilize Cillian Murphy's talents in a lead role he can sink his teeth into, plus a fantastic and stacked lineup of actors showing how respected Christopher Nolan is in the film industry as a director. I was very excited when I first saw the black and white teaser trailer that played in front of Nope last year, and the 2 subsequent trailers after that equally got me pumped. Trailers have been indicating this could be one of Christopher Nolan's best films and one of his best directed films in his filmography. Oppenheimer was my second most anticipated movie of the year behind Dune Part 2. I saw Oppenheimer Friday night enthusiastically, and I am over the moon to say that Christopher Nolan did not disappoint me one bit, because Oppenheimer is absolutely incredible in every single way, and certainly a top-tier Nolan film. Let's start this review with the pros. For Nolan's directing, he is at the top of his game here without question in one of his best directed films to date. Everything from the outstanding production design, doing a top-notch job capturing the time period with the attention to detail and level of authenticity, plus the breathtaking cinematography from Hoyt van Hoytema. And he's been collaborating with Christopher Nolan ever since Interstellar, Dunkirk, and Tenet all had amazing cinematography. And Oppenheimer is certainly no exception. And he's continuing to prove to be a fantastic director of photography, making beautifully shot movies. And even in non-Christopher Nolan movies like Her and Nope also had beautiful cinematography. Just from the quick flashes that Oppenheimer sees, all from the colors, lighting, framing, and stunning imagery here are all excellent. And Nolan's reliance on practical effects is still commendable. And he has recently stated there are no CGI shots in this movie, which is amazing. Everything feels authentic and very convincing, and not once did I ever feel like, oh, that's artificial, CGI, blah. Nope. All the practical effects in this movie are stunning. The performances from the cast are fantastic all around. Now, as I said, this is Cillian Murphy's first lead role in a Christopher Nolan movie, and he knocked it out of the park. He is exceptional in this movie. Everything about his performance that embodies Oppenheimer is spot on, from his voice, mannerisms, and in particular, selling his emotions through his facial expressions that capture his terror and devastation. And he also does a great job at capturing Oppenheimer's ego, self-pride, and intelligence. And it's a great performance that's not concerned about being showy, over the top, and just screaming and crying all the time. Just Cillian Murphy doing everything he can with his skills and talents to embody the real-life person. And just everything from his eyes and his facial expressions, selling that flawlessly. This is hands down Cillian Murphy's career best performance and my favorite performance I have seen so far this year. I've always found Cillian Murphy to be a brilliant and underrated actor, and Oppenheimer further proves all his gifted talents. And I really hope, he gets his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor next year. Or, if he has a shot at winning, I'll be thrilled because Cillian Murphy was incredible here. But that's not to say the rest of the supporting performances are inferior, they're definitely not. Whether in a supporting role or not that much screen time or just cameos, they're all great and there are moments to shine. Matt Damon is terrific, Florence Pugh is amazing with the screen time she has here. Even the rest of the cast of Kenneth Branagh, Josh Hartnett is great, Rami Malek is good when he shows up, Alden Ehrenreich is really good here, Dane DeHaan is in this, and even Josh Peck is good for the screen time he has. I was just like, wow, Josh Peck from Drake and Josh in a Christopher Nolan movie, and I actually thought he was good in this movie. And there were definitely moments in this movie where I recognized actors I didn't expect to see in this movie, where I thought, whoa, you're in this movie? Glad to see you here. And I also thought, wait, I recognize that voice. Oh, it's you, it's that actor. And oh, that actor is in this movie? Awesome. Now to Emily Blunt, who plays Kitty Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer's wife in this movie. At first, she does give a good, quiet, and subdued supporting performance, but as she gets more to do in this movie, she's excellent with many fantastic acting scenes from her, including one conversation scene in this movie. She was absolutely fantastic in that scene. And I believe that is a true testament to how amazing of an actress Emily Blunt is, going from a good performance at first to a fantastic performance. But the absolute standout in the supporting cast in this movie is Robert Downey Jr. He is incredible in this movie. And it's still great to see that Robert Downey Jr. is still a terrific actor, and even in a non-Iron Man role. I do love him as Iron Man, but I like to give him recognition in roles that are outside the MCU. Movies such as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Zodiac, or Tropic Thunder. And in this movie, he certainly still got it. Like Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. is captivating and very interesting in every scene he's in, just embodying this character and relishing every scene he's in, including one scene in the third act. Robert Downey Jr. was absolutely phenomenal in that scene. And I just thought, if they are going to use any scene in this movie for Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar clip, it should be that scene. And I really hope that not only Cillian Murphy gets a nomination for Best Actor, I really hope Robert Downey Jr. gets an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor in this movie. This is now the second time that Ludwig Göransson has composed a score for a Christopher Nolan movie after his riveting score in Tenet, which should have gotten an Oscar nomination. And he's done great work before in Creed, Black Panther, and The Mandalorian. And I believe Oppenheimer is his best work as a composer, with many phenomenal scores in this movie that I just keep listening to after I've seen the movie, that are just fitting for the tone, whether it's drama or tension. And as for the story, I found it to be a highly engaging story. I was a little surprised at the beginning of the movie to how the story was structured. I feel like that lets the audience know right from the jump that this isn't going to be a typical biopic film. It jumps around timelines a lot. There are some scenes that are shot in color and some scenes that are shot in black and white. There was just some stunning black and white cinematography in this movie I forgot to mention. And after hearing what he said about the cinematography in this movie, I could see what he was going for with color and black and white. And the jumping around timelines often in this movie could likely confuse viewers of this movie. But for me, I love Nolan's approach to keeping this story captivating in every scene. I felt like in a different director's shoes, it would be a little boring if it was told regularly and probably told in chronological order, but I felt like the non-linear approach of storytelling works effectively here. That, along with superb filmmaking from Christopher Nolan and terrific technical aspects, Nolan thoroughly balances Oppenheimer's life of getting to know the man, his motivation and what led to him creating the atomic bomb, the build-up to the Trinity test, the atomic bomb, and the aftermath in such an enticing and comprehensive way. And I would like to mention this is Nolan's most dialogue-heavy film yet in his career, but I think it's terrific screenplay with dialogue that continuously keeps you invested from scene to scene while moving the story along, making everything important. And now let's talk about the atomic bomb scene that a lot of people had talked about before the movie. In particular, when Christopher Nolan said that he didn't use any CGI when filming that scene and went for practical effects, which is just absolutely jaw-dropping and amazing commitment from him. And before that, the build-up and tension to it was absolutely incredible. Even though I knew it was going to happen, it still kept me on the edge of my seat. And just having me shaking and anxious, like, oh my god, it's going to happen, oh my god. Just a heart-pounding urgency and tension of everything. And I also would like to commend the brilliant use of sound and silence during that scene. All works so effectively here, it's startling and has an impact. And this is easily the best sound design I've heard all year. And definitely watch this movie in a movie theater with the best sound design. And just watching that entire scene made my jaw drop, and it was just like, how were they able to pull this off? Seriously, I want to watch more behind the scenes of this movie to see how they did that. It's just unbelievable and phenomenal. This is Christopher Nolan's longest film to date. It is 11 minutes longer than Interstellar at 3 hours long. Now I can understand why that may seem daunting for some. Now yes, this is a long movie. This is a dialogue-heavy film. There is more focus on the dialogue, less on the spectacle. But I think that works for this movie, and I felt like the 3-hour length was justified. Because how much is covered broadly here in this movie, how this movie balances so many events and conversations in this movie, that keeps this movie engaging from scene to scene, that even in moments where I do feel the runtime a bit, it honestly didn't bother me. I just thought, I am feeling the length a bit, but honestly, I don't mind. Just keep going, please. As for issues or nitpicks, like I said, one possible issue I could see people having in this movie is the 3-hour runtime. I can totally understand if they felt like it was a bit too long or could have been trimmed, but was I bothered with the 3-hour runtime? Honestly, not really, so I don't really have any flaws with this movie in all honesty. In conclusion, Oppenheimer was a stunning experience that left me in awe. Both an enticing and comprehensive character study and a staggering technical achievement. A top-tier Nolan film with sublime filmmaking and craftsmanship from Christopher Nolan. Tremendous performances, especially Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr., who both deserve Oscar nominations, along with the screenplay, music, film editing, cinematography, acting, and storytelling are all fantastic across the freaking board. I highly recommend this movie to you if you're a fan of Christopher Nolan's work. I don't think you'll be disappointed here. Or for film buffs, if you love amazing filmmaking, definitely go see this movie. And I would also like to recommend this movie to you if you're history buffs. And this looks like a really interesting World War II character study film you might really enjoy. Definitely go out and see this film. But I do want to let you know, if you are easily confused, this movie does jump around timelines often in this movie, or if dialogue-heavy films aren't really your cup of tea, I wouldn't really recommend this movie to you. And if you do go see this movie, please go see it in the theater, on the biggest screen, and the best sound system any way you can. This movie is an absolute must-see. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Oppenheimer, but bam! 5 out of 5 stars and A+. Nolan absolutely knocks it out of the park in one of his best films to date, further proving why he's one of the most accomplished auteurs working today. Now, this movie did come out in the same weekend as Barbenheimer, and I'm not really surprising that Barbie is making a killing at the box office. And I have not seen Barbie yet, but I am excited to check that movie out. But it's still very impressive that Christopher Nolan made an R-rated, his 4th R-rated movie in his filmography in over 20 years since Insomnia. And it made $80 million on its opening weekend. And it's the 3rd highest opening weekend for Christopher Nolan. Number 2, The Dark Knight, and number 1 still to date is The Dark Knight Rises, his highest opening weekend. It did rank 2nd place at the box office, but still, $80 million, that's still very impressive to me. And this movie is so far giving Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse a run for its money for my favorite film of 2023. I am planning on seeing this movie again to decide and confirm that, but it's definitely very high in my favorite films of 2023. And now, where would I rank this movie in my Christopher Nolan ranking? It's definitely in my top 5 for now, and hopefully it can still stay there on a second viewing. My number 5 would be Memento, 4 Dunkirk for me, 3, that's where I'm going to put Oppenheimer for now, 2 Inception, and number 1, The Dark Knight. So that right there is my top 5 favorite Christopher Nolan films. And now, Oscar predictions. 40 above the line categories, I definitely think it's getting in. Picture, I am having it as the frontrunner for now. Could change over time, but that's where I'm going to put Oppenheimer for right now. I think it's a lock for Best Picture and Best Director for Christopher Nolan. And again, I am keeping Nolan as the frontrunner for Best Director right now. Unless if something happens, we'll see. I'm definitely keeping him in that. Cillian Murphy, I still have the frontrunner for Best Actor. I really hope he wins. And just now seeing the movie, Robert Downey Jr. has skyrocketed in my Best Supporting Actor predictions. I really hope he gets nominated, or if he has a shot at winning, we'll see. Adapted Screenplay, absolutely getting in. The one I'm a little maybe on, Best Supporting Actress for Emily Blunt. She is overdue for an Oscar nomination. I am a little iffy on if she'll make it in or not. I do feel like she's maybe a little snubbable. Even with a few amazing acting scenes in this movie, I could see her getting in, but maybe a little snubbed. I feel like it might get more recognition for Murphy and Downey Jr. So curious to see about her chances if she'll get into Best Supporting Actress or not. I definitely think it's going to be locks for the technical categories. Cinematography, film editing, set design, music, and sound. Definitely think it's locked for all those technical categories. One I'm a little not sure about, Best Visual Effects. Now this movie has all practical visual effects and no CGI. So I'm not sure if that will get into visual effects, even for the atomic bomb sequence, so curious to see if it will make that one or not. Dunkirk was all practical, but that didn't get a visual effects nomination, so I'm predicting the same will happen here. So that's what I'm predicting the Oscar nominations that Oppenheimer will receive, and I'm definitely expecting a lot of Oscar nominations for this movie next year. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Oppenheimer if you've seen it? Do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you looking forward to film or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here. And don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.